Finally, the Marked Wrestling Show has returned just in time for the Royal Rumble 2024. All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Marked Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Mikey. It's been quite a long time. I just looked, and it's been like 6 or 7 months since the last time I recorded. And I've been trying to record wrestling podcasts for years and years and years and years. And sometimes I'm able to make it work out for long periods of times. Sometimes I just make it work out for short periods of times. I've done so many iterations where I either record an episode at the end of the week, one big long episode, and cover everything that happened that week, or I would do recaps after every single episode. Well, I'm not going to do either of those things this time because I got so much on my plate that it's hard to keep up, job, wife, 5 kids, just everything. I got other hobbies that I'm into, other podcasts that I do. So the way I'm going to do the Marked Wrestling Show going forward is after pay-per-views, because I feel like there's usually just one, maybe sometimes 2 pay-per-views in a calendar month. That makes it very easy for me to just get on, record after a pay-per-view, review the pay-per-view itself, and that's a good time to talk about the build of the match that was at the pay-per-view, and then I don't have to be on such a strict schedule. I feel like that's where I always had a hard time before, especially when I was trying to do like recaps of each episode. It was like, you got to watch the episode, you got to sit down and record. Like I said, just a common man, just doing this for a hobby, too much. So I figured this is the way to do it. So that's what we're gonna do going forward. Since it's the first episode back, I wanted to give a little preview, and this will be on YouTube, sitting on a different channel than it used to. I'm trying to make all my consolidate most of my content into one channel. So that's over on if you go over to YouTube, that's on Mikey, MMMIKIE. So that's where I'm putting like all my like sports stuff, TV shows, movies, video games. That's where all that content, random video games. That's where all that content is going to sit on that channel. So that's where this wrestling show is going to sit. Now, if you were somebody who was listening to this before and getting it on YouTube, maybe by chance, hopefully you got both. You have both versions, or you listened to both versions of podcast and the YouTube version, and you're hearing this, and now it's back, and you can head on over to that YouTube channel if that's where you prefer to take in the content. All right. So that being said, hey, we're here to talk about the Royal Rumble 2024. I am very, very excited for this year in general, because we have some good matches, and I'm just excited about all the possibilities. This is the first time in years where it's feeling like across both Rumbles, you can really make a case for a lot of different people to win. We only know a very limited amount of the wrestlers who have actually, who are actually in the Rumble. So that leaves a lot of room for surprises, which we haven't had in years. So it's feeling good right now. Okay, so let's kind of just do a quick little run through of what's going on. We know that we're going to get, because there's only going to be 4 matches at the Rumble. One of them, we're getting Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental Championship. that is going to be a fun match. They just announced that Logan Paul renewed his contract. He's making, he's insinuating that he's going to be on the show more often, that he's not going to be as part time as he has been. I don't expect him to be a full time wrestler. I just, with as much social media stuff and other companies this guy has, I don't expect him to be like full time. But it sounds like he's going to be around more. And just for the growth of the company, he seems like, or a growth of the audience. He seems like he's a guy, it's all the kids know him. He's big on social media. So I guess I get why they're giving him a contract. And you got to say, no matter what you think about the guy, man, he's been really good at wrestling. Like, from the very moment he stepped in the ring, I was like, oh shoot, this guy's gonna be good, and you have to respect the ability that this guy has in the ring right out the gate. And Kevin Owens, he's always been one of my favorites of this era, so this match is going to be good. Excited for that. I don't know. I mean, they just announced that Logan Paul's re-signed a deal and that he's sticking around for a while. So, does Logan Paul win here? I mean, Kevin Owens, I love him, and you got to think, sure, it'd be great to see Kevin Owens overcome Logan Paul, but also Logan Paul, look at all the stuff he's been doing on social media with championship belts and holding them up and talking to celebrities with them and whatnot. They're going to want that for WrestleMania. So I see Logan Paul winning here, taking this into WrestleMania, and then maybe he finally gets his John Cena match or some other big celebrity match that he's wanted, and they'll have it at WrestleMania because that's a big thing that you can promote. All right, so that's that match. We have the Women's Rumble again. Just so excited for the Rumble. Rumble's like the most entertaining wrestling event of the year, right? Because there's so many opportunities for surprises. You don't know who's going to come in. You don't know who's going to come in when, and all that, and you don't know who's going to win. Most of the time, we've had a lot of years where it was kind of obvious who was going to win. Almost all 30 spots were declared, and you would hear about the rumors of who was going to show up as a surprise. And when it's like, okay, well, then there's only one spot open. It's not much of a surprise when that person shows up because you know for sure that that person was going to show up already. Right now, they only have, announced like a handful of people for the Women's Rumble. So, I'm guessing we're going to get a big mix, which I'm really excited for. Of obviously the women on the roster currently. Plus, you're going to be getting call ups from NXT, or just showcasing some of the ladies from NXT, and then I'm really excited to see some of the returning legends. They have them every year, so we're going to get some here. And I don't know who they are, so I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. And everybody's heard that Sasha Banks is going to AEW, but that the deal isn't signed yet. So does she want to come and do a one-off Royal Rumble? Would WWE let her do something like that? Just the possibility that is a thing, that Sasha could show up to the Royal Rumble to be Sasha Banks for a day, but then the very next week show up as Mercedes Moné in AEW. That's very intriguing. And like I said, just because we don't know anything, it makes it very exciting this year. Do I have a prediction of who's going to win? No, because again, that's why this year is so exciting, because it's really so hard to predict, because you can really make a case for again, not just one wrestler being the obvious choice of winning the Rumble. There's a handful of people you can all say, hey, this would one make sense for them to win based on who the current champions are and who they could face at Royal Rumble, but also those would also be very entertaining matches. Like, can you imagine Bailey winning the Royal Rumble? That's who I want to win. Bailey winning the Royal Rumble and then challenging Rhea. I think we have our original four horsewomen: Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bailey, right? And Rhea needs to make her way through them. Bailey is one that she has not defeated yet. It'd be nice for Rhea to knock that one off her list and really establish, like, hey, this is the future generation now. And have something to like actually symbolize that in a match and at a big event like WrestleMania. Let's go ahead. Let's talk a little bit of the men's Rumble. My goodness. Again, just so excited for the men's Rumble. Again, just a handful of people announced ahead of time with, so many chances once again in this Rumble for surprises to show up. Legend, whether it's legends, showcases from NXT, call ups, and just not knowing the order of these guys are going to show up, and the fact again that you can make a case for a handful of these guys winning. You can make a case. Gunther made a case recently why he should win and how he would take the Intercontinental Championship into the WrestleMania and win the main title at WrestleMania. Okay, I would love to see that. Drew McIntyre, he's seemed to been sparked again by the last year or a couple of years with so many people coming back into the company, Cody, CM Punk, and then just other people getting hot. Drew kind of fell to the wayside a little bit, but it's recently he has seemed to have a spark of inspiration of really stepping up his game to, in his promos mostly, that will make you feel like, okay, yes, this guy can be on top again, and you would love to see it, and he's gonna have a good match with anybody. Cody Rhodes, very obvious. Finish the story, so obviously he's got a built-in real life story in the background of why you want to see him win the Rumble and go on to WrestleMania to hopefully finally win the championship so that somebody in his family can finally hold that main title championship gold. CM Punk, first televised match in WWE in 10 years. Everything that happened with CM Punk when he left WWE, then going to AEW, leaving AEW, then coming back to WWE. What a journey. And that's his thing. His story isn't winning a championship per se, but his story is he wants to be the main event in Royal Rumble. He was always one of the biggest stars when he was in WWE, the original or the first time around. However, he was just never given a main event spot, and he's always wanted that. So he really wants to win this Rumble, and most of the time that's going to get you the main event spot because you're automatically going to be choosing a champion, and most of the time that gets you the main event. We've seen that not be the case before, but when you have a name like CM Punk, if you win the Rumble and you're fighting a champion, I'm gonna assume that's gonna be the main event of the evening. So just so many uh, options. And then, like I said, I mean, right now to me, NXT call ups, you could easily see somebody, a surprise call up and coming in and making a name for themselves right away. Like, I expect Carmelo Hayes is going to be in this because he's already been on TV on the main roster a little bit. Braun Breaker could show up, and he's in the new young, um, you know, uh, strong man type guy that could be throwing a ton of people out. I think this Rumble is going to be really fun. Again, I don't really have a prediction of who's going to win, but who I want to win. I mean, personally, I want Cody Rhodes to win. That's my guy. That's like the guy I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of his story. I'm a fan of his wrestling. I'm a fan of his promos. I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan, so I'd like to see him win the Rumble and get another chance. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next match, which is our Fatal 4-Way: LA Knight, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns. What can you say about this one? Roman Reigns is going to win. This is the most predictable one. I do not see anybody else beating Roman Reigns right now. I know maybe some people will feel like, well, it's a Fatal 4-Way, so that really increases the odds, but I do not see Roman Reigns losing the championship right now. That really would be a shock, a surprise. The only thing that you could say, the reason why they would take it off of him is because, there's a chance that The Rock versus Roman happens this year at WrestleMania. And does that match need a championship? No, it does not. The only thing it needs is that both of them wanting to be the head of the table of that family. And, you could easily see Roman losing the title here, and then The Rock being like, "Hey, I'm back in the company now. I'm on the board of directors. You are, I'm actually the head of the table. You need to stop calling yourself that." And then, they build to WrestleMania from there. The title that they both want is that head of the table title, not necessarily the championship. So that's the only reason why you might feel like, okay, it's a possibility he loses, but I don't think so. And I'm not even sure that's going to happen this year. We saw how out of shape The Rock was, which is weird to say, but when he, had his promo against Jinder, and he seemed like gassed after, just that little scuffle that him and Jinder had. He's, there'd still be a few months. Hopefully, he could get into in-ring shape by then for WrestleMania if they're going to do it this year. But I could easily see, when The Rock came back to go against Cena, did they do it like a couple of, a build from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania? No, it was from WrestleMania to WrestleMania. It was a year-long build. Does The Rock really feel like, if he said this himself, that a match between him and Roman can make the biggest WrestleMania of all time? And are you going to do that with a couple month build, or are you going to do that with a year-long build of story and promos and interactions with each other, on social media, in interviews, in the news, like to build that up? Or are you going to try to cram it all into the next few months? I don't know. Anything is possible right now. That's why, I wanted to bring this podcast back, because wrestling is so much fun right now. Watching it again, recently, I wanted to start recording again before Punk came back, and then Punk came back, and I was like, I gotta I really want to start recording a wrestling podcast again. And then, I was just like, I just never have the time. And then I don't know why it took me so long, but I finally came up with the idea of how I can have time to do the wrestling shows if I just, record the episode, after the pay-per-view. So, like I said, that's what we're doing. And I'm excited about it. Again, with this Fatal 4-Way, I expect Roman to win. And that's all the 4 matches that we have for this Royal Rumble coming up. Again, so this is just like the little reintroduction back into the podcast here. I will be doing a review of the Royal Rumble after the Royal Rumble is over, so be on the lookout for that. We got to mention it here since this is like the introduction back, and I just said how much fun wrestling has been lately. And hopefully that is going to be the case going forward, and that we're just going to have nothing but fun things to talk about. Obviously, can you imagine how horrible I felt? I was like, oh, great. I'm so excited to be recording a podcast about wrestling once again. And then the news comes out about Vince McMahon. That's absolutely horrifying and disgusting stuff going on there. I'm not going to talk about that. That's not going to be the main thing that I talk about on this podcast. I just want to talk about the show, and the entertainment I get from the show. If I did a podcast covering the TV shows that I've covered or movies that I've done podcasts about, or if I started doing podcasts about musicians that I like, there's going to be a lot of them that have a lot of bad stuff. And thankfully, for the Vince McMahon situation, he's completely out of the company now. This happened before I started recording this episode tonight. A couple hours ago, it was announced that Vince McMahon is completely removed from the company now. To me, it's obvious he knew all this was coming. That's why he finally was willing to sell the company. I think he knew all this stuff was going to come out, and he got to sell the company but stay on as board governors for as long as he could. But now, totally removed from the company. I hope they just wash their hands clean of him. Don't mention him going forward. Don't give him any sort of goodbye or thank you or anything right now, because the accusations that are out there are, again, horrifying and disgusting. So I hope after they do their investigation that all the parties that are involved get what they deserve, and that'll be that. And we'll hear about it in the news, but I don't think we have to worry, because WWE is under new ownership now. It's being scripted and booked by different people than Vince now, and it has been for a while now. So hopefully we can just enjoy the show and talk about what we're enjoying on the show, because we're not thinking about Vince McMahon being a part of it anymore. Yeah, I'm sure we're all, when more of this news comes out, we'll still go like, oh my gosh, like that guy. But we don't have to watch every episode now with that in the background of our, because I don't know how you are, but that's how I was. Like, sometimes I'd be watching some episodes and it would be in the background of my mind of like, oh yeah, there's that guy that I don't like, that does horrible things, that is actually running this show and owns this company. We haven't had to think like that for a while now, and now we completely don't have to think like that because he's not a part of it anymore at all. So you can just watch the show and enjoy it and not have that thought in your mind. But yeah, there you go. We're back. Rumble is here. It's WrestleMania season. So excited for it. Let's go. And yeah, let's look forward to uh the Rumble, the next few months, Elimination Chamber, it will be the next one, whenever, and maybe I'll do some NXT pay-per-views as well because I still like that show. I don't get to watch it as much. There's just so much wrestling out there right now, right? That it's hard to watch it all. So, maybe I'll be covering some NXT pay-per-views, if we're lucky, you know, we've had for like 10 years now, we've had streaming live events for WWE, right? When they had the WWE network, you could subscribe to that and then you would get all the pay-per-views. Then they moved to Peacock. Now next year they're moving to Netflix. I'm hoping that this is going to open the door for AEW to get streaming deals because you know what, I'm not going to pay $50 for every pay-per-view. I know that. But if they get on a streaming service, and Max is the one that makes the most sense, and it's one that I already own, so that would work out perfectly for me. Hopefully, that opens the door for them to get their live events streamed on a service, on a streaming service, so that I can watch those, and that they'll be baked into a streaming service that I already own. Because that's I would love to cover AEW pay-per-views as well. The ones that I've seen, they always have fantastic matches at their pay-per-view. So if that is something that comes down the line, then we can expect that too. But as for now, I'll probably mention AEW things here and there when I record something, if I need to. But the way I'm going to format the episodes right now, where I'm just going to be covering pay-per-views, we probably won't be talking a lot of AEW right now until they hopefully one day get a streaming service or get onto a streaming service for their live events. All right, well, rambled on here a lot. Let's go ahead and call this one, and we'll see you after the Rumble.